This fiber was actually picked in the grease, so I can feel just a tiny bit of grease in it, which is very nice. And you could see that there's barely any chafe, maybe a tiny piece here and there that can be picked out in the spinning process. A lot of it did come out in the picking process. So to start to spin this, what I would do is, this is my method, is to take a handful, fluff it together a little bit. I'm just pulling it out like this to kind of combine all the fiber together. And then we're going to start spinning it the same way that we would start to spin any fiber, roving or cloud fiber or picked. So I'm going in a clockwise position because I am spinning, and what I'm doing here is letting the twist follow it up, but I'm pulling out a little bit and not smoothing what's in between my fingers. If you can see, I'm pulling my hand away just so that you can see what's between my fingers. I'm leaving as much little poking locks as I can, because this is what I would consider a lock spun yarn, which is to leave these locks showing so as not to take away the integrity of the animal. So I'm going to continue to spin it in this manner. It's sliding very nicely, opening up, because there is a little bit of lanolin in it. You can see how this is keeping its wonderful texture. So my goal is to spin this entire pile of picked locks and then decide if I am going to ply it or not, which I probably will, because I think plying adds just more texture to it. Can you see that? I hope you can see what beautiful locks this is truly leaving. So again, I'm drafting it out, but in between my two fingers there, the back hand and the front hand, I'm not smoothing it out at all. I'm trying to leave as much texture, which is the tiny locks poking out, or bigger locks, whatever may come along in between my fingers there. Now, another key is to put, obviously, enough twist into this, because if I'm not going to ply it, I don't want this to fall apart. So you need enough twist in the fiber to hold it together. It's a good practice, even if you are going to ply it, to put enough twist into it. So now I'm going to go take another handful, just pull it apart, so I'm kind of putting it all together. Make my join, make sure there's enough twist in that join, and continue to spin it in this manner. So again, my little tip with spinning and leaving texture is not to smooth anything in between your back hand and your forward hand. Just let whatever happens, happens. Look at that. Now that was a great happening. Okay, so if I wanted a smoother one, I would draft it out more and slide my finger down. I would control my wool a little bit, my fiber, the wool here, a little bit better than I was for the lock yarn. And you see, I can ply just a wonderful smooth yarn as well out of these picked locks. But what I'm doing is, for this particular skein, is to spin it in this manner. Okay, now what I'm going to do is finish up spinning this, and then when I do, I will be back for a quick plying video on how I plied it. See you soon. Hi there. I'm back with the fiber that I spun from the fiber that Virginia and I picked. I got this wonderful ball. It's full of locks, full of texture, just very interesting, has loaded with character. And I'm going to ply it now. I did decide I would like to ply it because it did come out with so much texture. I love texture. I love enhancing the locks. And I think that by plying it, you can enhance the locks even more and have more texture. So I'm going to start to ply just like you would any fiber. I'm choosing to ply with my ball on the right hand side, and I'm choosing a particular technique that we are going to get into a little bit later in a more specific video. So I'm plying counterclockwise just like I would with any plying, and as you can see, this is just going to be an amazing yarn. You can see how the plying kind of adds even more texture. So we'll go from this straight piece of spun, we'll ply it, and look at that. It added some texture to that. So I will continue to ply with various techniques so that I may add some texture to this yarn, even more texture to this yarn. So that's my goal. I'm going to continue to spin here, and I think what I'll do is I'll take some photographs of the final yarn and show you just how gorgeous it came out after it's set. I will wash and set it to take the lanolin out. If it was definitely for me, I may not take the lanolin out because I don't mind knitting with that lanolin. And again, this fleece was so clean, no chafe, no dirt, just a gorgeous fleece with lanolin. But if we were to sell it or give it to someone to knit with, they may not like the lanolin in it. They may not be used to it. But that's something that we really went over and stressed in our raw and natural class, and that we will talk about in our future videos when we really dive into the raw and natural videos. So this is basically what my yarn is going to look like throughout. Lots of texture, lots of interest, lots of locks poking out, lots of beauty.